After a decade oversaturated with slasher movies that cinema goers had become tired of, it seems ironic that Scream, a slasher movie, would be the one to rejuvenate and relaunch the horror genre. The script was born out of writer Kevin Williamson's love of horror movies, his favourite being Halloween. The screenplay, originally named Scary Movie, went on sale in June 1995, and within a few days the script had become the subject of a significant bidding war amongst a host of established studios, including Paramount, Universal and Morgan Creek Productions. Williamson agreed to a bid of $400,000 from Miramax, plus a contract for 2 sequels and a possible 4th unrelated film. Bob Weinstein didn't like the original title Scary Movie, as he didn't want a funny movie with scares, but quite the opposite. Harvey Weinstein reportedly came up with the title Scream, which he took from the Michael Jackson song. The director's role was originally offered to George A. Romero, Robert Rodriguez, Danny Boyle and Sam Raimi. We all know Wes Craven ended up directing the movie, but he initially turned the job down because he was already busy developing a remake of The Haunting and didn't want to work on another gory horror and be typecast. When production of The Haunting collapsed, Craven was freed from that commitment and found himself in need of a project. Wes was also excited to work with Drew Barrymore, who was originally cast as the lead role Sidney Prescott. It was Drew's idea to be killed off within the first 10 minutes of screen time, as the audience would never expect it, much like a modern-day Psycho. Her face was even the poster for the movie. To replace the part of Sidney, Bob Weinstein made offers to Reese Witherspoon and Claire Danes, then the most in-demand actresses in young Hollywood, but both passed. Brittany Murphy and Melissa Joan Hart were among the actresses who auditioned until Craven settled on Neve Campbell, who had already had a box office success with The Craft. Courtney Cox was famous for being neat freak Monica in the sitcom Friends, but wanted to ditch her nice girl image by playing ruthless news reporter Gail Weathers. David Arquette was also considered for the part of Billy, but was ultimately deemed too old, so they cast him as Dewey. The character was originally written as a muscle-bound lughead, nothing like the dopey character we all love. So loved, in fact, that they decided to change the ending where the character died, so he could come back for the sequel. Craven cast Skeet Ulrich for his resemblance to Johnny Depp, who he'd discovered for the first Nightmare on Elm Street. When Rose McGowan heard Neve Campbell had been cast as Sydney, she dyed her hair blonde as she thought it was unlikely they would cast 2 brunettes as the 2 best friends. And Jamie Kennedy and Matthew Lillard filled out the rest of the ensemble. Getting the look right for the killer was more tumultuous. Described in the script as a ghostly white mask, the hunt for the perfect mask began. On a location scout at a house, Marianne Madalena and Wes Craven found a mask that resembled Ed Vaughn Munch's painting The Scream and thought it was perfect for the film. It was discovered that the mask was made by Funworld in 1991 as part of a series entitled Fantastic Faces and was originally named Peanut-Eyed Ghost. There was an attempt by KMB Effects to produce a mask based off the Funworld design, but with significant differences in order to avoid copyright issues. Wes did not approve of the new design and it was quickly scrapped. Wes then decided to go ahead and use the Funworld design, but with time being limited and a deal not made with Funworld, they made very small adjustments to the mask and began shooting. The adjusted design had a different shaped face and a triangular nose. After a deal was reached between Funworld and the Weinstein Company, the original Peanut-Eyed Ghost could be used in the film, and that's the mask we see in the majority of Ghostface screen time. With no time to reshoot the deaths of Casey Becker and Principal Himbry, the KMB effects mask can still be seen in these scenes. And any killer wouldn't be complete without their trademark weapon. Ghostface carries a knife based on the Buck 120 hunting knife that has since been discontinued because customers complained that the blade length was too big for gutting animals. It obviously wasn't too big to gut Casey Becker and her boyfriend though. The Buck 120 knife can be seen on the film posters of Friday the 13th, 4, 7 and 8. The knife's appearance on these iconic horror film posters may be why it was chosen as Ghostface's primary weapon. Even though the killer behind the mask has been 7 different characters, the person behind the costume was mainly stuntman Dane Farwell, who played Ghostface in Scream, Scream 2 and 4. Farwell was responsible for creating most of Ghostface's mannerisms, including wiping the bloody blade of his knife with his gloved thumb and index finger after a kill. Farwell also said that whilst wearing the mask it was incredibly hard to see, which might be why Ghostface falls down so much.
Wait, don't hang up.
Roger Jackson gave Ghostface his iconic voice, and to keep him as menacing as possible, Wes Craven made sure that actors never saw him in person. Jackson would speak to them on a real working phone. Drew Barrymore even accidentally called 911 for real during one of the takes, which caused the confused police to call back and ask why they kept calling and screaming down the phone. One of the great things about Scream is that the victims in the movie, much like us as viewers, are horror fans, which makes for some cool references and horror Easter eggs. There are several references to the film Halloween. When asked what her favourite scary movie is, Casey Becker answers,
Halloween. You know, the one with the guy in the white mask who walks around and stalks babysitters?
In the opening scene, when Casey's parents come home and realise something is wrong, her dad tells her mum,
"Drive down to the Mackenzies."
This is a reference to Halloween, when towards the end of the movie, Laurie tells the kids,
I want you to go down the street to the Mackenzies' house. I want you to tell them to call the police.
When Billy and Sydney are making out, a cover of Don't Fear the Reaper is on in the background, the original song featured in Halloween. Billy's last name Loomis is the same as that of Donald Pleasance's character in Halloween, which in turn was the name of Marion Crane's lover in Psycho. As an extra nod to the classic slasher Psycho, the supposed leading lady is killed off in the first part of the film, and Billy even quotes Norman Bates.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Wes Craven's own movies also get many a mention. When Casey Becker says,
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Is that the one where the guy had knives for fingers?
Yeah, Freddy Krueger.
Freddy, that's right. I like that movie. It was scary.
Wow, well, the first one was, but the rest sucked.
Wes Craven directed the first installment. The line was nearly cut because he didn't want to look like he had a big ego, but Wes was reminded that he co-wrote the third film and also wrote and directed the seventh. Wes Craven even makes a cameo as a very familiar-looking school janitor in a red and green striped jumper. And that's not the only cameo in the movie. Linda Blair, who is famous for her role as Reagan in The Exorcist, makes an appearance as a news reporter. Joseph Whipp, who plays Sheriff Burke in Scream, also plays the sheriff in A Nightmare on Elm Street. Frances Lee McCain, playing Mrs. Riley, also played the part of Billy's mother, Lynn Peltzer, in 1984's Gremlins. If you were patient enough to stay till the end of the credits, you would see Wes Craven went out of his way to give no thanks whatsoever to the Santa Rosa City School District Governing Board. This was due to the high school pulling out last minute, which led to problems for production and whole scenes having to be rewritten. The school said the filming schedule conflicted with final exams, but citizen complaints may have also played a part, as people in the area were not happy about such a gory slasher being shot in the school's halls. Scream struggled to get an R rating. Wes Craven spent 2 months editing the final product that the Motion Picture Association of America would be okay with. They didn't like the line,
Don't you blame the movies! Movies don't create psychos! Movies make psychos more creative!
It was a sensitive issue at that time, as the movie Natural Born Killers was said to have inspired people to commit horrific murders. Sarah Edmondson and her boyfriend Benjamin James Darris killed William Savage by shooting him twice in the head at point-blank range, just 2 days after watching the violent movie. Other scenes that displeased the MPAA were the shot of Casey hanging with her guts falling out in the film's opening. They got round that by speeding up the shot so the viewer had less time to take in the gore. Tatum's garage door death was made less graphic, and in the finale when Stu and Billy stab each other, the shot cuts away when the knife is entering the body.
Let's face it, baby, these days, you gotta have a sequel!
Even with the cutting of gore, Scream still has its fair share of blood. 50 gallons of it were used in the production, made of corn syrup and red dye.
Corn syrup. Same stuff they use for pig's blood in Carrie.
8 edits of the film later, it was ready for release as an R-rated film. Bob Weinstein came up with the idea of releasing Scream in December, despite everyone in the company thinking this was crazy. His reasoning being that horror fans were typically not catered for at this time of year, and this tactic had previously worked well for The Exorcist, released on December 26, 1973. Scream cost $15 million to make, but grossed more than $100 million in the US and $250 million worldwide. It was the first big hit for Dimension Films and reinvented Wes Craven's career. Kevin Williamson continued his slasher writing success with I Know What You Did Last Summer, and a wave of imitators tried to cash in on Scream's popularity. Urban Legend, Halloween, H2O, and The Faculty. 3 sequels and a TV series later, it's no wonder when a horror fan is asked, "What's your favourite scary movie?" that many would answer, Scream.